You've got your eye on the ideal heyday model, let's talk about how to enjoy the ideal wakeboarding wake. Before you start, you'll need 4 things: a Coast Guard approved life vest, a wakeboard tow rope, a wakeboard, and a spotter, or use the standard convex mirror on your heyday. Next, you want to set the boat and speed up so you create a nice symmetrical wake. Fill both port and starboard ballast tanks to your desired level. You might have to balance your passenger load slightly, though the Heyday's extra-wide transom will help with that. Once you have that dialed in, at a speed of 18 to 23 miles per hour, let your tow rope handle drag until it's in the right part of the wake for your skill level. You want to be between 1 and 5 feet in front of the lip curl. Beginning boarders will want to be closer, intermediate in the middle, and advanced furthest back. Once you established your sweet spot, shut down the engine and have the rider enter the water. The rider should place their bindings shoulder-width apart on the board, with each foot an equal distance from the tip and tail of the board. They should sit in a seated position in the water, back straight, knees bent. When the boat starts to pull you, don't fight it. Distribute your weight in the center of the board with even pressure on both feet. Keep the handle at hip height. This keeps the force of the boat's pull in the center of your body, so you don't get pulled over. Once up, stand tall and begin to navigate across the wake. Take it slow at first, and don't go too big too soon. Then, it's all about getting comfortable on the board. Remember, when you fall, let go of the rope. Do not let the boat drag you. Take it slow and easy, and before you know it, you'll be catching air like a veteran. So now that you know how to enjoy a Heyday wakeboard wake, start making some of your own. Visit HeydayWakeboats.com to locate a dealer near you for more information.
Every team trains hard. Every team prepares to win. But when U.S. Army soldiers take the field, it's best if the other guys don't bother showing up. See if you have what it takes at GoArmy.com/team.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Kurt Nolenberg.
With Rick Lake.
We're here at round 7, the penultimate round of the Heyday Wakeboats Pro Watercross National Tour, sponsored by Broward Motorsports. We're here in Charleston, West Virginia, on the river. What a gorgeous location. We had phenomenal racing all day yesterday. We crowned some national champions in the pro class, some tour champions. Today's the amateurs, the second and third motos. It's going to be a great day of racing. We've got 1 or 2 under our belts. Rick, what are you looking forward to?
Well, thanks a lot for joining us online. We'll do our best to keep you guys informed of what's going on. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to follow. Got a lot of moving parts here, but it's a beautiful, beautiful setting here in Charleston, West Virginia, the state capital. And the river is gorgeous this morning. There's a light current. It really has little effect on the racing. Yesterday's racing was absolutely ballistic. Crowned a lot of champions, national championships, this being the final day of the tour. We're going to have amateurs going for it all day long, and sports stock getting ready to blast off the starting line. And let's take a look as we hear them fired up on the line.
Clear? to Susan Anderson's is ballistic, and the X2 is starting to try and sweep her. Danny Ortega, exceptionally experienced rider. Oh, this is going to be crazy. Ortega going to the inside, Anderson to the outside, Rick.
Yeah, very interesting. Ortega on that X2. This is a stock class which has modification rules to keep these boats kind of equalized as much as possible. And you can see Ortega taking that X2, really cranking the turns. And he puts that Kawasaki X2 in front of Susan Anderson on the Sea-Doo HX hold boat.
Well, you watch Danny, and he's changing feet each corner, swapping, going goofy foot in the right-hand turns, normal in the left-hand turns. Ortega on that X2 starting to pull away from the field already, Rick Lake.
Well, one thing to note about that X2, that is not an average X2. To make that X2 competitive with the more advanced, better handling hulls, at least in terms of overall handling, maybe not tight turning, the HX, obviously the dominant boat in sport class, that is a completely unlimited modified X2 engine he's allowed to run to kind of equalize the field. And I got to say, Ortega is making great use of the rules right here because he's got that X2 on the gas. Remember yesterday he led the entire moto until the last lap, and he gave up the lead, and right now in second place, his nemesis.
Christian Daly.
Christian Daly on that HX, that Sea-Doo HX hold boat. Now remember, these boats were last manufactured in the mid-90s, and so these are passionate racers who have brought these boats back to life. And let me tell you something, this class is really exciting and a lot of fun to watch. The rules have allowed the boats to be equalized in terms of performance, so you've got X2s, Blasters, and HXs out there competing all on fairly equal footing.
You know, it's crazy to watch. Danny Ortega, very experienced rider. He's out in front making best use of the X2, going to the inside. Christian Daly, young man that just joined the tour a little while ago, he has been spectacular in a few outings that we've seen of him. I look back in the field, you got a newly crowned national champion, Keith Dell, back in like 5th spot right now. And this X2 of Danny Ortega, all the way from Idaho, yeah, he gets the long distance award along with his wife Lori. Ortega throwing it down, and Christian Daly right there after him.
Yeah, Daly's starting to reel in Ortega right now here in about the third lap of this race. Ortega out of McCall, Idaho on that highly modified, we got to write her down, on that highly modified Kawasaki X2. But he is getting reeled in very, very quickly.
Yeah, Daly keeps jumping the wake and trying to make the pass. Ortega looks like he's slowing down a little bit at the end of the straightaway. Daly going to try and sweep. Let's see what happens. Ortega going way wide, trying to make Daly have to use some more of the track. Daly now into the split early. It's going to be really close, Rick. Here goes Ortega. Ortega diving hard on the inside. Daly's got speed. Daly's going to be on the front straightaway with speed first. Ortega's going to have position. They're coming out side by side down that front straightaway. Danny Ortega holding that throttle on. He's not giving up. Neither is Christian. Daly goes wide, and Ortega, that's 50 years of experience. Well, 50 years old. That's some experience there on Ortega.
Yeah, you can see that Ortega is not going to give up the inside line. He's using the attributes of that X2 hull, which is really low, small hull, stays glued to the track, really can hug the corners much tighter, and he's going to force Daly to go around the outside or use the split section if he wants to get around, which is the whole idea of the split section, to allow a rider to take a different line, take a different course, and maybe get around the rider. But Ortega in no way is going to allow Daly to get inside of him. But Daly goes around.
Sweep.
He's just got a little too much handling on that HX overall. Really handles the rough water better when it gets a little choppy. That HX is going to perform, and the longer hull of that HX is just going to dominate ultimately, which it does here as Daly takes the lead. Great riding by Daly, and you can't say enough about Ortega, though. He is really maximizing the performance on that Kawasaki X2.
Wow, Christian Daly having issues with a left rider. The blue and yellow flag comes out, and that left rider looks like he's not going to let our leader go by. Robin Powell out of Chardon, Ohio, I think maybe not understanding, hey, there's a race going on, buddy, but you're not in it.
Yeah,
your leaders are coming by.
Yeah,
and boy, if he does the same thing with Danny Ortega, that could spell physical disaster for Ortega. Because listen, an HX Hull against X2, as we say that, he does a sportsmanlike thing and misses the buoy.
Yeah, he just completely is spaced out there right now, not paying attention to what's going on. Didn't see the blue flag with the yellow stripe telling him to move over, and then completely goes the wrong way. So
I'm going to say he must be a newer rider out here.
I would agree with you, and just trying to figure out what's going on. In the heat of battle out there, when you're behind and you got these guys that are much faster than you on the racetrack coming up behind you, the one thing you really need to do, besides move over if you have a chance, is at the very least hold your line. That allows the superior rider, he'll know what to do. He'll get around you.
Yes, and John Bonkowski slows him down, says, come here, we got to talk for a minute. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to get a little
a lesson.
A little talking to, and he's going to learn a little bit about racing here and what to do on the race course, because it does get intense. And these guys racing for the lead, they're very, very serious coming by, because they're racing for points, and every position counts out here.
And our Robin is a female Robin, not a male Robin like our course marshal Robin. Our apologies there. She'll get another opportunity in the third moto.
She's going to figure it out. That's cool.
So Christian Daly out front, this young man, coming off of Carmel, Indiana. He was spectacular earlier on in the year. I believe he won in Hartwell, was strong early on in that, and Daly now starting to lap into the field. I'll tell you what, Christian Daly has left Danny Ortega, 50 years old, on that X2. Absolutely crazy. He has got Susan Anderson all over the back of him. And Danny Ortega, I got to feel he's running for his life on that little teeny X2 Hull with the HX coming up behind him. With riders you're not used to racing, that's a little frightening.
Christian Daly, for a guy out in front dominating this thing here, the second straight moto, surprising he has no sponsors listed. 20 years old, out of Carmel. He's on the last lap, and he's going to come around and take the win handily. But I got to say, Danny Ortega is riding the proverbial wheels off of that X2. That is no small challenge. You've got these superior hold HX Sea-Doo-based skis behind you and pushing you. So hats off to Danny Ortega. Major kudos. This guy is just impressive, and I'm sure for everybody watching online at home, enjoying seeing an X2 out there. He's put into second place. Daly takes the win. Ortega's going to take second. And then Susan Anderson, who dominated last weekend in Lake Hartwell, she comes in on that 114 Sea-Doo HX in third place. And Danny gives her the high sign. They congratulate each other. Some good racing out there, and everybody's having a good time this morning.
Jeff McPhail finishing in front of Bobby Cardone and Keith Dill. And, of course, Ken Waddle making it through.
That's this sport class, I got to this is fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, these guys, you know, there's a lot of camaraderie in this class. They work on these skis. They've rebuilt them. They've brought them back to life, so to speak. From the mid-'90s, heck, the Kawasaki X2s, we're talking, late 80s. And so amazing seeing these out here. And it's really good to see these older craft not just revived, but competing at a very, very fast, high level on the racetrack using modern technology in both the hull department on the modified ones and the engines as well. And in that stock class we were talking about, that X2 that Ortega's riding is allowed to have a fully modified motor to compete with the blasters and the HXs.
Well, not only did they survive, but they are thriving. Don't just survive, thrive. And I believe that's Robin going around the penalty buoy and landing. And that little left-right that she just did, or no, not she. That is the number 7.
Yeah, you can see when we have the awards, when you talk to these guys in the pits, you know, the sport class, there's a lot of camaraderie in this division because of the nature of the class, where they're, you know, have basically riding vintage boats. And much like vintage motocross racing, it's a lot about the boats. The racing is competitive, but it's a lot about the boats and the interest in them and the passion for those boats. And here we go. Women's Ski Limited, Veteran Ski GP, Ski Superstock, and Beginner Ski Stock. We've got riders in each class, I guess you could say. Looks like we got a red flag. Something went haywire at the start.
Well, I think they wanted to. They were checking some buoys out there. I'm trying to make sure everything is going to be copacetic in the split course. We're going to bring it back, start it all up again. And
yeah, when you have races on a river, even though the current here is mild by river standards, things tend to move. The anchors can get dragged a little bit here and there. Those sausages get moved around a little bit, and it's contingent on the race director overseeing everything, and then the course marshals implementing his direction to make sure that these buoys stay positioned where they're supposed to be. Most critically on the split section. The rest of the race course, important obviously, but the split is critical because both of those split designs have to be equal to keep the racing fair. And of course, racers constantly looking for an advantage, and they'll try to find which split is faster throughout the day. I don't think we've really determined if there's a noticeably faster split this weekend, though, so great design.
Yeah, I think it depends on hole style, but yeah, the whole we're done with our work. We have a great time. Some of us even a better time than others. But you know what? When it comes to the water, it is all about safety. And believe me, each and every one of these professionals are completely committed to safety. They think about it all the time. Their positioning on the track, their equipment. I was talking to John Bonkowski. Do you know that he carries 4 different hooks and tow ropes for different configurations and different situations? And he's been doing this long enough that he has set up his own personal gear and the way that he does it, all based on safety and things that he's encountered over the years. Same thing with Robin and Drake. You know, they do surf events. They go all around the world doing this.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see their devotion to their craft. Their craft is water rescue on these watercraft and that they're on, and it's impressive to see their devotion. That's the best way I can put it. These guys are on it, and they're doing their very best to make sure our racers are safe at all times.
All right, well, we're going to call it out. This is a combined class race. Women's Ski Limited with Carrie Oliver, Veteran Ski GP with Justin Treader, Ski Super Stock with Nikki Turner, and Beginner Ski Stock with Aaron Spring. Dare I say it, we're going to have 4 first-place riders in race number 4. Gotta love it. And you know what?
Well, 3.
3. Somebody had to drop.
3 and Drake.
Well, that's Carrie up front. I know that number 10 machine, Carrie Oliver out of Apex, North Carolina. Sponsored by Hurricane Racing, Imagination Fabrication.
You know, I enjoy watching Aaron Spring. She is on that Yamaha Superjet, 31 years old, riding for Hurricane Racing, number 2. And she is brand new to racing and getting her literally getting her feet wet out here. And it really excites me to see new riders getting into the sport, getting some track time in. And, you know, when they do that, they just get a little better. They get a little more addicted every time they're on the racetrack. They get that adrenaline pumping on the starting line, and it's a joy to watch.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nikki Turner, she's in Ski Super Stock. She used that superior horsepower and the inside split to go from second to first. Turner out in front. She is sponsored by Hurricane Racing, AMSOIL, 321 Kawasaki, and SB Eyewear. She hails from Cornelius, North Carolina. Nikki Turner, large and in charge right now. Carrie Oliver in that second place position, 3rd overall. As you called it, Aaron Spring out of Sanford, North Carolina. And I noticed, Rick, looking down here, all 3 riders sponsored by Hurricane Racing.
And essentially, this is our women's class today, and all on different skis, but out there having a great time. I hear some cheering down there, maybe some yelling inside the helmets. Listen to the fans getting behind the ladies out there on the racetrack. Really good to see. It's good to hear. We've got some loud voices down there. Where are you guys cheering down there? There they are. All right. Cheering for the ladies.
Well, let's go ahead and call it out. How many Carrie Oliver fans do we have? How many Nikki Turner fans? How many Aaron Spring fans? How many Bruce Springsteen fans?